See if I get the recording going. Yes. Well, unless if you're gonna talk, Okay, do you want to control it or? Okay.
Are we going to be able to use this?
It just worked. So try it again. It's really finicky. So I mean, it just worked in this stuff. I have no that. So I'll just.
I'm gonna go see if Nat's just rounding people up, then we'll get started, okay?
You know me, I'm timely.
Yeah, it's weird. Very weird. See how it's working? It works. And then it's now I'm gonna try this again. If I share a screen to that screen, it's working now. So we'll see how long. So
First get started, I'll come over here and maybe operate.
okay. What's odd is I don't know why it has this because I'm sharing full screen and it still does this. I don't know. Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back this afternoon to our second set of presentations on SMIL projects. We have two to close out today. And the first will be on sorghum breeding and the second will be on food product development and taking advantage of a lot of the opportunities for developing new market products in Niger and Senegal. So to get started today, I'm going to give the microphone to Bruce Hammaker. Again, we give the market to the market mic. Mitch.
Thank you all for joining us this afternoon on a Friday afternoon. I know there's not a great time to be gathered after prayers, but I appreciate everybody coming back. One thing that I wanted to talk, just quickly provide an introduction for our group here. 10 years ago, we started a project that was sorghum tree development pipeline for improved food and feed value. And what we proposed was, what we were really trying to do was develop new genetic technologies for value-add traits. And so we started off looking at starches. Can we improve the starch quality and diversity in sorghum? Then protein quality, in particular digestibility of protein. And lastly, can we launch a forage breeding program in West Africa? And do that using two new PhD students that just graduated from WACI. And so that's how we started our first phase of the project. As we concluded with phase one, we were actually successful. We've actually developed modified starches in sorghum. We've recapitulated all of the starches that are common in maize. So high amylose, 50% and 70% amylose starch. So if there are people that are interested in end use quality, resistant starches for people with diabetics, there's some really interesting potential opportunities where we're moving those genes out of the backgrounds that they're in into food grade backgrounds that would be adapted in West Africa. When we started phase two, what we did pick up and we decided to really push on was first. Next,
Nope.
please.
Okay. Okay.
First was improved protein digestibility. And so this is a project that's been coordinated in terms of the research activities in Senegal. Today, we're going to hear about it from Elizabeth and her main teammate, Cyril. The second half of the presentation is going to be about launching a new forest breeding program in Niger under the leadership of Usman Ikaidi. So those are going to be the two speakers for today. This is actually a large project. There's a lot of people contributing, but these are, I'm proud to say, two outstanding PhD graduates that have joined the West African research community. I'm really excited about the story that they're going to share today. Next, please.
There you go.
Next. Elizabeth Diata, and her name has changed a little bit too. Elizabeth Diata Holgate. And so Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Wherever you want, you can be up here if you want to walk around, or you can be down there. Maybe up here would be better. If answer doesn't work, what the laser does.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ishra. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. I am going to talk to you about the first objective of the project, and this work was done in collaboration with my colleague Cyril, that shares half of my last name now. Thanks. So I'll go through the activities one at a time. This here to give a little bit of background. The objective here, we have 10 years ago, Digestibility, for those who know him, has released lines to interact tannin-free sorghum lines that are well adapted in Senegal and also adapted by farmers. So what these lines actually lacked was the nutritional value of the aspect of it. So through SMIL, we have been working from phase 1. These are activities that actually started from phase 1. So the goal was to improve the nutritional value of these specific lines using, in this case, the first ever developed highlights in highly digestible mutant. This P71Q is a mutant that has about double of the content of lysine, tryptophan, and also protein content compared to the local, the line that is developed from lysine and tryptophan. Next. So what we did initially was, from phase 1, we crossed P71Q in order to introgress the high lysine, which is the HL here, allele into the background of 4 edit lines that were released in Senegal 10 years ago. And we have, in this specific part, I'm going to focus on the first cross, which is the breeding population that is the most advanced one, because through phase 1, I did my PhD under the SMIL sponsorship, focusing specifically on this population developed from FAO and P71Q. So after developing hundreds of lines, we have identified 18 highly digestible backcross lines. We have done 2 years of field testing, and that led us to the identification of 10 lines that we took in participatory varietal selection in 3 locations. And after doing the PVS, we selected the top 5, not just on digestibility, but also taking into account the farmers' preferred traits. This is some work that was presented in the last year annual review meeting. All right, these 5 lines, in terms of their characteristics, when we look at the grain composition, it's highly similar to FAO, the local variety. But what it has in addition is the at least 20% improved protein digestibility after cooking. For those that are not familiar, sorghum, when it's wet cooked, the proteins are less available for digestion to the enzyme. So in this case, we have improved at least 20% of digestibility. It goes up to 26, in fact. In terms of yield, we have not really lost the yield potential that FAO has. So the yield is comparable to the local variety as well. These are the 5 lines here, and compared to the local variety. Next, please. For these lines, we are targeting specific areas in Senegal, depending on the agroecological zones, and which are represented here by the different colors. So here we have the north and the the South Peanut region here, and also the North Casamance region. Those are the ones that we are targeting in these lines. And we have other breeding populations coming up for the other areas. Next, please. In order to prepare for the release, we have many things that have to happen, right? One of them is to collect agroecological agronomic data for these lines, and we have been doing that. These pictures here show the field work that was when I was in Bombay in November, early December this year. We have the lines in the field there with the technicians collecting the data for that, and also we are filling the ID cards. So every single line will have an ID card like this that gives its information about the specific traits that we are collecting in order to prepare for the release. We are currently also doing seed multiplication in the field because one of the objectives of the project is not just to develop these lines, but also how can we use them in the food value chain as well. And that we work with our partners there. Next, please. So this was one cross, as I mentioned, was the one that was the most advanced during my PhD. I started at work, and in addition to that, I also had sorry about that. It's so blurry. We had also 23 additional highly digestible lines that were developed from Gangan and Daru, which are the 3 other local varieties that we are trying to improve. So from that cross, we have 23 lines that we took into first on yield trial, preliminary yield trial at first in 2021, and which led to the identification of the 12 best performing lines in terms of the field, the agronomic traits. And we did 1 year of advanced yield trial in these 5 locations here, as shown on the red dots here on the map of Senegal. So next, please. So from this yield trial, we saw that again, the yield potential is still maintained compared to the local varieties, even after improving for digestibility. And also the stability across the environment also is being seen. But what is cool about these is that they have, on average, 30% improvement in terms of protein digestibility after wet cooking. Do you remember their first crop at 20%? So here we have even 10% more. This is really cool for us. And in terms of grain mold is a key trait for us. We have in our breeding product profile some traits that we call the must-have traits, and grain mold is one of them. So we looked at the grain mold score, and it's within what we wanted to be. So first, HL, which is the highlights in the first mutant, right? Now we are going into a different set, which is now working with another type of mutant, and it's called the EMS mutants. Next slide, please. So P71Q is great, right? It has high digestibility here. You can see compared to, well, this is about digestibility on the y-axis and the samples on the right axis. This is just a reminder, P71Q has a digestibility of 60%, and we have used EMS mutagenesis to develop more mutants just because there are some key traits, some traits in terms of grain, the floweriness of the endosperm of P71Q that is not so desirable depending on where you are working with it. And in this case, we used the EMS mutagenesis on the background of the reference genome to develop more mutants to induce more variability, right? So it led to the identification of these mutants. And in terms, what is interesting about these? Next slide, please. Yeah, I wanted to highlight. What is interesting about this is that EMS 1613, which is one of the 3 new mutants, has even harder seeds compared to the other mutants before. We see hardness being reduced, but in this case it's reduced, but still significantly higher. So this led us to think, oh, there might be something different about this mutant, right? That makes it still, even with the improved digestibility, it still maintains some hardness that we like. So we first tried to see at the gene level, what is leading to high digestibility in this mutant. We did candidate gene mapping, and it led us to a protein disulfide isomerase. So those are that node PDIs in general are involved in the catalysis of the formation and also the breakage of disulfide bonds. These are disulfide bonds that are formed around between 16 residues, and so in this case, this mutation that occurred in at the cleavage side of the 4th intron in this protein disulfide isomerase leads to a protein with a disruptive function. the protein is cut into half because we have a stop codon is induced, preliminary stop codon is induced here. So we believe here the hypothesis that the formation of the disulfide bond is not necessarily happening like it does in the well, as much as it does in the wild type. So hence leading to more enzyme accessing more proteins in the mutant. Next, please. We did the same thing for 3224 and mapped to a caffeine on chromosome 5 as well. So this caffeines are the main storage of proteins, and this is actually a mutation that was reported before, but the additional part is that here we have a brand new allele compared to the P71Q listed here. Next, please. So we have genes, we are developing breeding populations. How can we link the two? What can be helpful here is using markers, right, to do marker-assisted selections. So for each of the mutants that we developed tetraprimers. Tetraprimers are markers that are easily used in the lab on a routine PCR. Just want to gel. These are just markers that can help you see homozygotes, wild type, and homozygotes mutants on just an agarose gel. So anybody from basic lab with genotyping can actually do this. And these primers I developed at Purdue. And the cool thing here is that they have been sent to Ceras for validation. And this image here is from Ceras, actually. I worked with the lab technician here, there. I created Rachel for this work. And she actually was able to validate the markers here, showing the highly digestible here and the low digestible. And for me, I was like, wow, this is really good. It works, we showed it, but actually works in the setting of a population that we are developing in Senegal. And in the next slide, I'll tell you even why this is more important. Next slide, please. So we use EMS 1613 and crossed it to the 4 Israel line. This is something that Dr. Ishra started working on at Purdue, initiated the cross-it and sent it to Senegal at the GEF2 level. So we did the back crosses at Bombay in Senegal, and we were working blindly, to be honest. Like, we didn't have any marker, we didn't have a way to do protein digestibility tests, not because we don't have a lab, we have a great lab that's SMIL funded, but because the test can only be done at an F3 level, and we were at F2. So what can we do? We use the primer that I talked about just now to genotype this 300 and more lines, about 350, I remember correctly, and it led to the identification of 25 lines that we were comfortable and confident that they had the allele for digestibility and are homozygous. So can you imagine, for a breeder, 300 to 25. I'm so excited, I can't talk about it going further. So we save on time, we save on space, we save on resources just by using technologies like this. So we are currently advancing them to BC2F4 in Senegal. Next, please. Sorry, the boring stuff is finished, right? Let's talk about the real stuff, which is the food, right? We talk about the research, it's great, it's going on. Now, what can we use this product for? How can it have more impact? How can it have value? What is the value added? So this specific activity involves working with partners. We don't do this specifically. We have partners like ITEA, we have partners like Sedima and other industries. Can you go to the next slide, please? So for this, I talked about the 5 lines that we are have currently in the program and developed from CrossWave from. So these lines we collected 2 kilograms of seeds that we sent to our colleague Shia from ITEA to do the wet lab chemistry analysis. The seeds are with ITEA now, and we are planning to do some, they will do lab chemistry analysis for us, because the tests that I showed earlier, the results are also done from NIR at Purdue. We are also currently multiplying seeds in the field at Bombay in order to prepare for this transformation part, in order to see how these material that we develop actually perform when it comes to making granulated porridge, when it comes to making couscous, when it comes to making poultry feed, and that's the part that we work with Sedima. And these are all work that We are targeting also women groups in the village to work with them and see how they can use these sorghum varieties, because in addition to the digestibility, there is something about these wines that they don't necessarily need extra processing in terms of the handling of the pericarp and all that. So we want to see the women actually use this and give us the feedback about how this is valuable to them. Next. We also invest on human capacity building, and I am one of them. I'm a product of phase 1 of SMIL, and I am here today telling you about all this work that I'm doing as a co-PI today. I am thankful to SMIL for not just the training, but also the opportunity to be, I don't want to say like to lead, but yeah, in a way like that. So to lead activities like this in Senegal, in collaboration with my colleagues. And I also had the privilege to work with students that I supervise at Serras, and they are doing, these two graduated already. They did their work in the lab. This lab is the one that I talked about, the SMIL funded during the phase 1. So we are able to invest in human capacity because we have technology also like this that are in place. So I also got the privilege to do an hour leadership training funded by SMIL last year in 2022. Next slide, please. In terms of presentation, we have two posted presentation, one at Signal last year in Texas, and also the male student that I just talked about, also presented a student was in the car. In terms of publication, we have one article that came out in June 2022, where we're exploring natural variability for sorghum protein digestibility. So I invite you to look it up if you are interested in looking in finding out more about it. So far, we have been cited twice for this article that came out this 6 months ago. We have a second article that we resubmitted for the revised version last week, and we're hoping to hear back from the reviewers soon. Next. In terms of achievements, what do we have? We have multiple lines that we develop, but primarily we have three varieties, three lines that we want to release, hopefully by the end of this year. And in addition to that, we have multiple breeding lines, breeding populations that we have developed as well. And I mentioned we have 2 genes that we have identified. And well, are we submitting the paper next week?
Yeah.
All right, we are hoping to publish this very soon. And the markers that we developed are already showing that their effectiveness in the breeding program. And publication I already mentioned. We also have additionally 2 more publications that are on the way. Next, please. For 2023, what do we have coming up? For the progeny of Pauru, for the release, we are now doing the seed modification. I talked about this, and also the wet chemical analysis test with ITA. And the transformation test will be done later this year as well with the women groups, and also in the sensory lab of ITA. We'll look at that as well. And we are also in the process of filling the registration forms and do a large scale seed production as well during the summer, during the season. For the other populations, we plan to advance also the backcross lines with EMS, the EMS mutant, and also for the 3 other local variety progeny from those, we also will do an advanced yield trial and a prosperity varietal selection. Next, please. What's next? After SMIL phase 2, that's we're working on, we are hoping to release these lines by the end of this year, but not just there. How can we promote these lines for their effective use by smallholder farmers and also other partners, and work with those partners to formulate biofortified infant food, and also do like learn from Millet, right? With Dr. Gino can, so we can make some great food like they do in pastry and all that. We also plan to work on formulating poultry feed, and those are the foundation of that work is already in place with Sedima. And our objective is also to make hybrids. How can we make hybrids for all these traits? Hybrids are great, right? Let's dive into that area as well. Can we stack the isomerase mutation in the HL into the lines that we have? It's a question, research question that we have that hopefully as we find opportunities for more funding, we will explore this as well. I mentioned earlier the breeding program, we have a breeding product profile that we have developed for the specific goals that we have, and also depending on the farmer's interest as well. To actually here, this one is started already, and it's the product from the Sawagen project, the Millennium lines that we have crossed with the digestibility lines that I just talked about, and we have F1s already. So can we use the VMR lines from Usman's work? So these are all synergies that we're doing between projects as well in terms of to meet the goals that we have in the BPP and other also objectives as well. So this is all I had for you today. Let me give.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to speak in English. Sorry for my English. Just after Elizabeth, always difficult for me because her English is top, and I'm French English. So sorry for my bad English. So I'm leading the part of the project that is in Niger. I am also a student of Constanza. And my project is to develop forage sorghum cultivar that meet the needs for increased forage production in Niger and West Africa. For us, the words meet the needs, and Niger and West Africa means a lot because we are working for farmers. That's why farmers are involved in this project throughout in every activity we are conducting. In Niger and West Africa, because we are ready to share seeds, experience with other partners in West Africa and elsewhere in the world, like in Madagascar. So, the goals of my project, to achieve the goal, we have a series of activities to be achieved. The first one is to establish a forage research program at INRAN. The second is to develop, this is the breeding part, to develop OPV lines. And the third one is to develop dual purpose sorghum hybrids, Sudan hybrids, and forage hybrids. So, coming to my first activity, which was to establish a forage research program at INRAN. Yesterday, some of you visited my activities at INRAN here in Niamey. So we have right now a dry lab in which we put benches in which we can prepare seed for the trials and coursing block, like one of my students here cleaning the seeds after threshing. We have the basic equipment to do those type of activities. So we have also 2 nursery fields here in Niamey. I showed them to people yesterday. In addition to that, we have now a good facility here, a screen house with dedicated well and irrigation system that is working well. So our target now is, instead of doing 2 cropping seasons during the year, is to do 3 cropping seasons. I think we've planted the third one 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago, something like that. And we also have a seed storage room. Here, the temperature is 4 or 5 degrees Celsius to be able to keep the seeds for long term so that we cannot always lose germ plastic. So we can say now that the forage research program is well established at INRAN now, and we thank SMIL for that. For the second activity, which is to develop dual purpose hybrid Sudan and forage sorghum, here maybe I have to say that we have 4 big programs for the breeding. The first one is dedicated for the food grade. It depends on what the farmer wants. If the farmer wants good grain yields, we can provide. When I came after my PhD, I found those lines bred by early breeders. One is sitting here and the SS there and Salami there, but the lines were still segregated. So for the 2 years, I pushed them into a selfing cycle for me to make them homogeneous, to stabilize them while the breeding, the BMR integration process is coming so that they will be at the same level during the third year, and I can push them into phenotyping trial. So this was done during the third and fourth year. So we have data on them. One of the program is the hybrid Sudan. We need to have it because there is that are close to Niamey always request, they want to do grazing, but they don't have land. The sorghum land that we have, they cannot be cropped for just grazing. So we've integrated the BMR into one Excel line that is registered and cropped in the US since long time ago. We are thinking also how to maximize the biomass yield on the field. For that, we have a photo period sensitive program in which this line that we've received from the US, we cross it with the female lines of our program in order to boost and have big biomass yield in the field. So the second activity was typically the classical breeding. So we use the conventional breeding methods to integrate the BMR genes into the elite sorghum lines that we have in Niger. Some are from Niger, some are from Mali and elsewhere. The third one was to develop joint purpose grain sorghum hybrids, the Sudan hybrids and forage hybrids. Earlier on, I talked about those ones. So because BMR cultivation actually is new in West Africa, particularly in the Sahel region, always questions arrive, are they adapted in the Sahel region? Are you sure that they will not lodge? So we said, no problem. ICRISAT have installed the thermo station radar in Ineran Research Farm. This thermo station collects automatically wind speed, wind direction, rainfall, and so on and so on. So during the 2 years of phenotyping that we've conducted, we were collecting the data from the thermo from the normal cropping period, June to September, to see how the weather, the wind speed can influence the lodging of the BMR lines that we were phenotyping at the same moment. So you can see that in the Sahel, the peak of the winds happens at the beginning of the rainy season. At that moment, the sorghum is is just at the beginning of we just planted. It's very, how do you say, young, so there's no problem with the winds. Around September, maybe we were just lucky during the 2 years, but around September, there was no big wind, like which can provoke the lodging. You can see on this picture how Sepon with the BMR6 can behave on a sandy soil. Here, I think it was in blue or blue. So, before harvesting with my students, every population we count. In September, we count the number of plants lodged and the number of plants that did not lodge. During 2 years, this is the minimum of wind speed, this is the maximum of wind speed during the period we have run those experiments. For instance, when I take MR 732, I think there is no problem of lodging here. The point there is no, and El Monta also there is no problem. We can say with confidence that actually lodging in BMR can be due to the genetic background, but not due to the lignin reduction. The same line, we took it and feed goat with it to see their nutritional value. So taking in as control the farmer variety. This experiment was run at Ineran Maradi during 42 days. Every 3 days, we wet the animal to see how feeding with the BMR lines or the farmer variety can influence their weight gain. And actually, it comes with feeding with BMR lines are much more better than feeding with the farmer normal sorghum. The average of the BMR is around 4 grams per day, while the average of the normal sorghum is 2 grams per day. So here also we can say that feeding with the BMR lines are much more better than feeding with the normal sorghum. So after checking all those, we decide to deploy now our new lines to farmer field, because we have to be sure that the technology is working before we bring it to farmer fields. So here are the localities where the farmers receive our lines. In 2021, we gave it to 84 farmers. We are very prudent. And the following year, we gave to 170 farmers receive our seeds. But we were able only to follow 107 farmers. It comes that Sipon with the BMR6 and MR with the BMR6 were the most appreciated by the farmers. It was a great opportunity for us to train farmers to clearly identify and know what is BMR. Because the story was at the beginning of my PhD, to show BMRs to farmers, I have to go with pictures or posters. They have never seen the BMRs in their fields. But now those farmers know what is BMR, and empirically they know the attribute of what is the BMR. So after doing all those, we can come now with OPV candidate for registration. Here we have the Elmota BMR 12, which is one of our elite line. Then we have the BMR 6 also in the background of Sepon and Masia. Here is the picture. We put the leaves in the ID so that people will know what is BMR. Okay. The lines that I was saying that earlier on were bred by early breeders that we've recycled are also good candidates for grain, food grades. Here is one of them. And here is one of them. So those 4 candidates are now good for registration. We are working on how to register them. So we always have complained with the stover quantity that the lines can produce to satisfy dairies particularly. That's why we use this technique, double cut technique, to try to boost up and produce the maximum of stover on fields. What we do is we plant the sorghum at the normal period. 8 weeks after cropping, the sorghum plant will reach at a stage where we know that the hydrocyanic acid content is not there and it's not toxic for animals. We come, we cut it. This happened in normal situation. This happened in mid-August. So the climate and the weather is actually good for the sorghum regrowth. Then the sorghum will regrow, and we have a good control of that technique now. We can, how do you say, advise it to people that have the facility to do it. So on this picture, you can see that with the double cut technique, you really increase the biomass yield on the farm. In green, you can see this is the double cut technique with every variety, while in blue, the same variety was left at normal growth and you harvest at the end of the rainy season. So can the farmer do the double cut and have seeds to plant next year? The answer here is yes. With the double cut, you can do it. The regrowth will produce seeds so that at the end of the rainy season, you can harvest seeds a little bit and you can also plant next year. Training students. Actually, the students, I can say that they are the heart of my program. During those 4 years, we've trained 16 students from various schools, from various backgrounds, sorry. So on various topics also. All graduated. Some are working right now in NGOs, in other projects. Some are in, I don't know, in government offices. We are proud of them. I try to keep, I think Hawa is in this room. She's there, you can stand up. She's actually the most promising student I had. She is with me since 3 years. She's doing a nice job. Thank you, Hawa. We try to do, how do you say, publicity for our program, exhibition. Here, we receive our mentor for advices, for guidance. Here I'm with one of my mentors, Dr. Kapan, he's in this room. Here, last week I was with our interim director, was here to visit my lab with the director of the National Institute of Mali. They came to visit and see what I am doing. Dr. Balwa from SMIL also visited my trials. He was happy. Fana, we are not in the same project, but we work tightly. Thank you so much, Fana. Everybody knows Fana here. Of course, for Tim also, thank you for your advice, guidance. He used to visit us frequently. I know I send a lot of emails, a lot of WhatsApp. Thank you for follow-up every day. He had the opportunity to talk directly to farmers here. Salamatu, this lady is interested to establish a small forage industry here using the crop residues. So we are always in touch. She also visits our trials. She requests for the seeds. We give her the seeds. So we are in touch. Achievements. At least we have 2 BMR OPVs, 2 food grade OPVs that can be registered this year. So we have breeding population, at least 13 breeding population are ready here in the program. We've identified the best agronomic practices with the BMR. We published 3 papers. Our plan for 2023 is first, it is in the second position, but the first is to finish the documents for the registration, and this will be done by March this year. Then we will have time to finish writing the other publications. We'll have the time, right?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much. Then we will multiply the seeds, keeping in touch seed companies and farmer organizations to disseminate the BMR types in the country. I think what next? We will continue to promote and release our new materials. We will work with the partners, particularly like that lady, Salamatu, who is working on forage markets. We continue to work also on the seed system. And the good news here is we are having the newest equipment for the lab. This will increase our lab capacity again. Thank you so much, Nat. Thank you, SMIL also. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So you see, the program is still going. Thank you so much. So we work also on the hybrids. I think I'm at the end of my presentation. I will give the floor to our professor. Thank you.
Is there a
First off, I know that these are your colleagues, but you say, wow, these guys are amazing scientists. And as a mentor professor, I'm incredibly proud of the work that they've done. So, as I said, I tried to introduce the topic with, it started off as a new trait development project. these traits weren't common, well-developed, well understood in sorghum. We've had some success at identifying genetic variations, genes, and technologies that might fit into sorghum varieties that have improved value across West Africa as well as across the US. We've only been hearing about the work that these former students are involved with here in West Africa, but we're doing parallel kinds of activities in the United States in terms of developing and advancing these technologies for applications for US farmers as well. So I'd be happy to take any questions if you have any questions for these two programs, one on forage in Niger, the other on protein in Senegal. That's where their nucleus starting points are. And our hope is moving forward that these programs can begin to play a larger role across the region in terms of literally seeding research projects in other countries that might have an interest in these topics.
All right, thank you very much for your presentation, Elizabeth and Usman. Yeah, just might be a contribution or just because I know that the line that you develop, would be very interesting. For example, the term of processing, as you know, sorghum is not well developed in Senegal compared to the other region because in the sub-Saharan region, because there is some problem especially on the digestibility and stuff. And I think from this research, and as the samples we have them, we'll really see on the processing and see on the product development. And I think this would be a great opportunity, for the markets, because actually even in Senegal, actually there's a big problem on millet. So the farmers at some point they stop producing because there is no millet. And I think even the sorghum that you have developed, we try to test some of them during the Century Evaluation launch. But I'm telling you, most of the people that have tested the product, they don't know if it is sorghum or millet. This is great. I think that by doing some further analysis, on the quality traits and stuff, I think we will discover more on these varieties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good job, Elizabeth and Usman. Just one question on yield and protein yield versus protein yield. You said that your new lines, farm derived lines for the high lesson, they have comparable yield level, but you didn't say what is the yield. If you can just elaborate.
We're missing. I was wondering what that third chair was like.
Okay. For Senegal in general, for improved variety, the yield is around 2.5 to 4 tons per hectare. And it will be very difficult with breeding to go over when we don't add the management. So when we add management, you can go over. But by improvement, the genotype you have, you cannot go over 4 tons per hectare. And the objective of the work is to develop new digestible line that keep the same yield as powder, but with improved digestibility.
Photo has a yield potential about around 2.5 kilotons per hectare, and these lines are also seen between 15 tons per hectare.
So, Elizabeth, I know you're just starting to work with Sedima on poultry feed. And so maybe this is a premature question, but the increased in protein digestibility, eventual protein, is it enough that it will displace some of the need for soybean and other protein sources? Because that's the most expensive part of most poultry diets.
Like you mentioned at the beginning, this is the work that is starting. I'm not 100% sure that to answer that question, I don't have the answer exactly, to be honest, because we haven't actually tested their ability in terms of what is the value that they're adding when we use them as a feed for poultry. So once we do go through that process, we can see, okay, is this actually, so let me just back up a little bit. When we met Sedima in 2018, 2019, I think, yeah, no, 2020, the year of COVID, right? I can't even remember the years. 2020, they mentioned that once we share the material with them, they have to do preliminary tests to make sure that actually this meets the demand that they have when it comes to poultry feed. And also last year, we also received them at Sarah's or things like this. So I will be able to answer your questions once we do this tests with them.
One follow-up, Tim. So you double the lysine and you double the digestibility of the grain. So theoretically, you're almost 4x available lysine in this particular cereal product. So it'd be really, it's one of the bigger questions that we have, and it's really a huge opportunity to market a potentially new product as poultry feed.
Yes, again, wow, I'm always impressed with the work that your students have done, which just tremendous delivery. I'd like to follow up on Cameron's question in terms of the digestibility sorghum varieties that Elizabeth has been working on. For subsistence farmers, what are they, not for poultry or livestock feed purposes, but for subsistence farmers who are eating the sorghum themselves, what are the challenges in deploying varieties which look identical to the local varieties, which yield the local varieties, but only have a quality difference? How does one convince, raise awareness so that they're willing to move away from their same seed and to purchase seed that has a quality trait that they don't see? No improved resistance to any biotic or abiotic stresses, no yield difference. What are the challenges and how do you solve that?
For that question, you have raised a great point, and it's something that we have also talked about in this project. Is he's talking about the challenges for these lines. Yes, they are similar in terms of yield, and but whatever we added, they can't really see it for sure. But it comes with all the additional work that we are doing after the with these lines in terms of food processing. So that's why I mentioned in my presentation that we will go to the farm, to the field, to the villages themselves, work with the women in terms of the food processing part. So they themselves will develop these, but to see for that processing part might still be back to similar to what they have, but what is the added part would be challenging to say, oh, this improves, it has digestibility, so it tackles malnutrition aspects, right? How do we do that? Can we do some tests in terms of infant, when we formulate infant food? Can we do some tests to see, working with, we have a cell called Cellule de lutte contre la malnutrition. They once came to Israel when we had a general overview. We had people come over to visit Sarah's. One of the person that was there works with that specific cell. And when I talked about the work that we're doing with these lines in terms of protein and the digestibility with the goal of tackling aspects of malnutrition, he was interested, shared his card. So we'll follow up with institutions like that. How can we actually do some tests that will show that there is a valid added value we hypothesize it. It showed in the previous, in literature that actually before tests were being done, before they do it in vitro, it was being done in vivo to follow up with some malnourished children. And it showed that malnutrition can be overcome with lines like this that have improved nutritional by-like proteins. So we are hoping to do something like that in the future with these lines. So, yeah.
Another way, can I make one more comment? So we have a number of, a lot of the things that I work on, you can't see. And in seed production, how do you QA, QC seed production when you can't see the phenotype? So several years ago, 2 years ago, actually, we began working with the seed certifying agency in Indiana and said, we need to figure out how to do this because in the future, people are going to be genome editing genes out. This is going to be a common problem of QA, QC in seed that's compliant with seed law. And so we actually, we've worked with Indiana Crop to develop a sequencing-based approach where Indiana Crop Improvement is now the certifying agency for varieties of, I told you a little bit about this the other day, durin-free sorghums, the prussic acid-free sorghums. The seed delivering agencies for that genetic technology, they have to certify through Indiana Crop and prove that it meets the quality requirement. And they have a sensitivity of 1 in 1,000 kernels in terms of how clean are these seed samples. So we started this with other technologies. Can we do proof of concepts? And then 3 weeks ago, we sent seed, we've been in discussion with them to say, we would like to start exploring this for applications in the US. And someday, Senegal has an emerging seed sector that this technology is relatively easily transferable. It could play a role in lots of types of technologies that we're talking about in this group. How do you QA QC varieties that have hidden attributes in a way that meets the legal requirements for seed quality?
Okay, so one question to Elizabeth. I would like to know how those 5 selected lines differ for agromorphological traits, like for flowering time, for panicle type, for plant height. So are they really offering diversity to the farmers, or are they all really looking the same? I'm really excited about this forage industry startup thing. That is like really cool. So if Salamatu is there and could say more. And Elizabeth, a minor language thing. You always said seed production, but you meant grain production, like for the transformation. And I think it's good to distinguish this clearly. Seed production is for seed and grain production is for those transformation. That is really minor. It was an outstanding presentation, but this language thing, as a breeder and seed production person, it's good to distinguish this. Yeah, and to Usman, also thanks. I was wondering about the Sudan grass hybrid. Is it purely Sudan grass or is it a sorghum times Sudan grass cross? Thank you.
Sorry, it's maybe. Oh, yes, okay, the diversity within. So it's based on the cycles of those lines. So we have lines that go with a cycle from 95 to 105. So depending on the agroecological region, like I mentioned earlier, we will release lines based on the rainfall pattern as well. So that's the main difference between them. And in terms of the seed and the grains, thank you for that comment. We do have an activity with grain production for the transformation, but we are hoping also to make to produce some seeds as well. That one of the goals is to share with our regional partners, so that will be one activity.
Maybe also this year we have our main partner, which is Rezo Abdai, is here. We will start working with him for production. Abdullah, Rezo, yeah, yes, our name. Okay.
Thanks a lot for your question. I was wondering, people were just asking Elizabeth, and I was sitting here without any question. Maybe they are not interested. Oh, thank you so much. It was the Excel BMR6 is Sudan times normal sorghum. Okay, the dollar is a normal sorghum. Salamatu, it is actually a mistake for me. I forgot to invite her, but I think last time you had the opportunity to discuss with her. She has elected line that she likes. She said she is working to install a small industry based on crop residues. So I think she had a good idea. This doesn't exist yet in Niger. Maybe she will be successful. Thank you.
More questions?
Well, thank you. I wanted to follow up the last comment you made, Mitch. What we have heard is really exciting material development, from two young breeders. What we've been hearing is that the excitement of young breeders, or it is going to find its way to the national system. The question I'm asking is that, how do you go about releasing these varieties, both in Niger and in Senegal? What are the systems in varietal release in the two respective countries, or is it just the excitement of young breeders? How does it fit into, the national system? I would be interested, if you can make comments whether, if we come back 10 years from now, will these varieties be sustainable in Senegal and Niger because they are being released in the national system? I'm not sure what the system you are referring to is in really developing these varieties.
Yes.
A comment about Usman works. Yesterday we were presenting the Sawajet network, and most of the West African breeders, we are more focused. In the product profile, we are breeding for dual purpose, but we were more focused on human consumption. We are happy to have Usman in the region. He is focused on animal nutrition and animal breeding. And then we visited also this year, I hope, Usman. And during the discussion, all the West African breeders need his BMI line, then to improve what we have also in the sub-region. So this year, this coming rainy season, we will test his line in all the West African countries to enable us to select the best performing in our area, and then start crossing with our elite line. What I'm done in Senegal is my minimum lines I select and cross it with the Jesus line. I have the F1. So when we share his BMR lines, I will cross it. I have three-way cross, and then in the area to combine digestibility of grain, digestibility for forest, and then mix it with the photoperiodic one, because in the south, in Saga, we will focus more on the codatum type. There is more discussion with Bettina tips. So to go to the humid zone, we have to introduce the photoperiodic line. So I hope he did a great job, and he can assist all the other West African breeders to breed for dual purpose. It is a great opportunity for the sub-region, and we need really to have profile as this in the other countries.
Thank you so much, Prof. It's true, we will be dealing with the dissemination of the varieties so that later, maybe when it was the turn of our students here, we can see also the variety that we've developed on the farmers field. I think the interest around my work, particularly, I have a lot of interest, a lot of projects like the CESA project. This year, they came to me. They have a larger network. They would like me to give them the seeds. They give me a little money to multiply the seeds so that they can disseminate, because my job is a breeder. Their job is the dissemination, is the project research development. Their job is the dissemination. And we also have other farmer organizations like Kumagaskia here, Moripen, and also the formal seed system that is working in Niger. So my job as a breeder is to breed. Now that the lines are almost available yet, because we need to register them first. At the beginning, I don't want to give the seeds because I need to register them first. Then we can give to seed system, farmer organization, everybody. So I think we are on the good shape to say that in 10 years, we are almost sure that our lines will be there in the country.
Dr. Burhani.
Is there an official varietal release system?
Yes,
Mike.
yes,
Like-
there is. There is a committee in Senegal, is a committee in charge of the release system. And they come to the field, visit the trials, where the plants are, and assess based on their recommendations to verify everything is okay. So we call it like the DHS, like in, for the homologation.
Glad you asked the question about, is this youthful exuberance? Or is this something that's really something to be excited about that has the potential for impact? So I will consider myself youthful, I guess, because I'm exuberant about the work that they're doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that in plant breeding is not a 5 or 10 year process. It's a decades-long process of continual improvement. And there's lots of opportunity to improve both of these programs, bringing in new technology, bringing in technology to support the seed sector, so they can do a better job of managing these varieties in the release process as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a couple of questions in from Dr. Akililu and from our team from Madagascar. Then I think we'll have to finish, but I did want to just also indicate that SMIL has been very involved with trying to be of support to the team as they've stepwise in the process with the seed registration here. And tomorrow we plan to meet again and have an update about that, but there's really definite milestones and planning to get these things registered. And then from that point, there's multiple ways for dissemination. So these will be all registered in country. So I'm going to just take 2 more questions because I was pulled this way. We'll go with our Madagascar.
Merci beaucoup de m'avoir donné la parole. Depuis hier, tout d'abord, merci beaucoup Elisabeth et Ousmane. Vous avez réalisé vraiment des travaux incroyables. Nous avons senti que depuis hier, comme si les présentateurs racontent les problèmes qui existent à Madagascar. Donc, ça veut dire que nous avons les mêmes problèmes. Et je réitère ainsi ici ce que mon collègue a dit hier, qu'il faut qu'on aille à Madagascar aussi pour ces travaux. Et deuxièmement, à Ousmane, vous avez parlé les biomasses. Est-ce qu'on peut savoir le rendement des biomasses qu'on a reçu avec les 2 groupes et pour quelle surface, pour un peu comme, par exemple, combien il faut de biomasse, combien d'hectares il faut. Merci.
Merci beaucoup pour votre intérêt pour les sorgho fourragers, si on peut le dire, ou bien à double usage. Donc, concernant la dernière partie de votre question, je peux dire que nous avons estimé la biomasse coupée, la première coupe, puis la deuxième biomasse, nous avons fait la somme pour obtenir maintenant la biomasse obtenue en faisant la technique du double coupe. Ceci était démontré aux fermes actuels qui sont autour de Niamey, qui se plaignent toujours de l'insuffisance de fourrage. Il y a des fermes qui sont bien structurées, ils ont de très bonnes terres avec de bons dispositifs d'irrigation, mais ils cultivent le sorgho normalement comme ça, jusqu'en fin de campagne, ils récoltent. Donc, c'est pour ça que nous avons réfléchi à développer un paquet technologique qui leur permettra de gagner beaucoup plus de biomasse. Les chiffres, je ne les ai pas tellement en tête. Peut-être que quand je vais ouvrir mon ordinateur, je vais vous montrer les chiffres. Puisque ce que je vous ai projeté, ce sont des rendements obtenus, cumulés sur les 3 sites. Donc, je vais vous donner par site. Là, vous allez avoir une idée beaucoup plus claire. Et selon les sites aussi, ce que je sais, les rendements qui sont sur les sols argileux sont beaucoup plus supérieurs que les rendements qui sont sur les sols sableux. Mais les chiffres par site, je vais vous les communiquer.
Okay, actually, the last question.
Yeah. Thank you. I would also like to thank these both young researchers as well as their mentor, who really have demonstrated in just creating young scientists who have already demonstrated their capabilities. The question I have for Dr. David is, truly you have demonstrated in achieving a great improvement in terms of protein digestibility and the quality as well. Because from the beginning, the donor material you were telling us about making in tryptophan, I think even if you didn't show us the data, then I can understand some improvements might be there in terms of protein quality. So the test now might be you use in vitro digestibility, and this definitely should be translated into animal response, and probably in terms of egg productivity or bird's life weight gain. The project is over, I think, going to be over, but in other some ways that should need to be taken up. And what is your plan on that aspect? For Dr. Truly yesterday also we have seen, and we are a witness, great improvement in terms of infrastructure as well as in human capacity development. But the question now is, what is the future plan in the strategy? Because these human capacity that you are developing should be absorbed into the system and contribute to the enhancement in the research in the country. The other thing is definitely, yes, we believe that the first thing we do is, as a third world nation, we are doing an adaptive research. And so definitely your material will go beyond even West Africa. Once you get those material registered, we are happy to get them and test in Ethiopia also. The final question I have is, you reached to more than 1,000 farmers. This is a kind of scaling up. It's not a pre-extension demonstration or testing. It's a kind of scaling up. And yet you have applied these varieties to get registered for commercial production. And what is the regulation of the country? Is it possible to, you have already scaled it up before registration or getting approval for registration treaties? Thank you.
For your questions, I'm not sure if I got it right. The first question you mentioned about the quality of the proteins, like I didn't show the data you said. Mhm. Okay.
I'm gonna have to interject here too, that, they have their 1 minute, elevator talk. You're gonna have to do 1 minuters, because we got 4 questions, so just to try to close off.
Right,
So if you
okay.
can be quick, sorry.
Thank you. So in terms of how it translates in weight gain for the animal or for egg production. We haven't done it yet. That's the part that we are going to work with Sedima, and it will be tested for poultry feed as well as for in egg production. And in terms of lysine, I didn't show the values, but I can show them to you later. It's I have it in my laptop, but the lysine content was doubled compared to the wild type. And the new mutants also even have higher lysine content than the other ones. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, thank you so much. My question, registration, seed, and number of farmers. For the registration, I can tell you that we are actually in the process of registration. We had one training session, we interact with the committee, the National Committee for Seed Registration, and even tomorrow we'll have the second session. So we have, I show you the ID of the new varieties. So the documents are like draft now, but I'm working on them, and I believe by March, I will submit all the documents for each variety. At that moment, anytime from Ethiopia, if you email me, I will send the seeds for you. And it's the same for every other countries, no problem. For the farmer community, actually, I didn't reach 1,000 farmers. It was nearly 200 because my network cannot reach to 1,000 farmers. The other farmer organization like Fumagaskia or Moriben can do this for me. But I can also have a second network to the CISAT project. It is a research development project which is working in Niger and Mali. Last week, we were in this room and they have a larger network of farmers. So I multiply seeds and will give to them so that they can disseminate to 1,000 farmers. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. You can stand in the corner. Yes, you can go. And Luzman, don't forget your news machine.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, our last project that we're going to discuss for today and for the meeting will be the project which is working on the development of value-added products. So we have in the room partners from Niger, partners from Senegal. We have Dr. Ferrucci on the line from Arkansas or from wherever he is. And I will turn the microphone over to Dr. Hammaker to lead us through the presentation.
Thank you, Tim. It's late in the day. And I'm starting with, is that full screen?
Almost.
Oh,
Yeah, almost.
Start with this, because last night we were behind this herd of camels in the car, and I don't.
It's getting there. It's getting there. I see it on my side.
This is for our guests from Madagascar. Okay, because
Yeah.
welcome our friends. Mustafa said you wanted to see camels, and I hope you do. And there's some right in front of the car. My wife says, "This is an African traffic jam." Okay, so I'm going to introduce our project, and then Mustafa and Shep will take over, and I'm going to end myself with just a couple slides to tell, I think, an exciting project we are going to start in just a week or so here in Niger. So go ahead.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. And go ahead.
Okay.
I guess that doesn't work, right?
You can try it. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Is it working?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, you all know Mustafa was a master's and PhD student of mine, PhD through the SMIL program. Shaq was PhD student with Mario Ferrucci. Shaq runs the program in Senegal, of course, Mustafa in Niger, and Mario Ferrucci is a co-PI, has a background in food science and nutrition, just like I do, and is at Arkansas Children's Hospital. I'm sorry, that says North Carolina State. And then a large group of people here in Niger and in Senegal. We didn't list all their names, but it's a fantastic group. And then going into processors, some are who are here today from Niamey, and also rural processors, which I'm gonna speak a little bit about, just a couple minutes before Mustafa takes over. Many of them are in the room also. And very importantly, the two farmers unions, Pumagaskia and Morrigan, which Bettina, you mentioned earlier today, really facilitate so much that goes on in the rural activities, the rural project. Let's go ahead.
Okay,
So, you know, in our area, impact is probably most often or ultimately measured in interaction at the business level, right? The private sector level, entrepreneurism, but also with consumers, because consumers drive all of that, right? And nutrition also meets at the level of consumers. So long time ago now, we decided to start an incubator here in Niger. That was in the early 2000s with a different project, SMIL project. And that evolved into what we call the hub and spoke. It has some unique aspects to it. I'm not going to talk about it here, but the hub is here in Niger, Niamey at Inran. And spokes are in the urban area, but also with the coming in and joint project with the McKnight Foundation at the beginning of SMIL, the SMIL project 10 years ago, allowed us to go into the rural area, and really unexpected things happen in my mind. So these are some of the things. I think it's a great story. It's not the only one, but it's one that at the end, again, I'm going to come back to, because I think there's something really potentially important that we're able to do here at the end of the SMIL project. So just real quickly, it has some nice aspects to it. There are processors in rural areas, 4 different in Niger, not to get into the details, large women's associations, Terra, follow, they're here, right? Representatives of those projects are here. This part of the world has this beautiful cultural aspect that women, and I'm sure men too, share what they know. So as processing started and they started making profits, they sold their products, high quality products. Outside of the design of the project, these women's associations, processor associations, took it under their own initiative to share what they knew, and they trained other women. So now we have not only the primary sites, but secondary and then tertiary sites going out peripherally around, geographically around those sites. And so it's a natural expansion of these activities. There's a sustainability aspect of that. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's really something to take note of. And remember, this is market driven. So if they're able to sell to the market, make profit, there's a sustainable aspect of that. It's income generating, right? Entrepreneurism. In rural areas, it may be modest, but it's impactful. And the biggest selling product is nutritionally fortified flours. So we're going to talk about that later. Mustafa will show you. That's a big thing. In from 2020 to 2022, from 4 sites in Niger, they sold about 40,000 packets or products of nutritionally fortified flours. That's about 17.5 metric tons of that product. We're going to do a capstone study. And then there's women and youth empowerment. There's a scaling aspect. I won't talk about it, but we had Rockefeller Foundation money. We're able to scale this, repeat it in East Africa and Tanzania and Kenya. That ended last year. That's why I bring it up again in 2022. Okay, yeah. Thanks. Well, last thing is, it's something quite, I think, novel. You just don't have examples of rural women's associations in the market producing products where they're getting this kind of reach and sales and profit. So it's transformative, we think, and we're going to measure aspects of that. So Mustafa.
Thank you, Bruce, for your introduction. And I will continue with the presentation. I will talk about the Niger component still both the urban and rural side. So as mentioned by Bruce, we have all the partners that are here, and actually is really what we are seeing from these activities with the joint projects, SMIL and Magnite, a kind of transformation of the food system for us is really starting. And this is being done by the women. They are really the PDF, and they are the entry point of everything in the system. And they are playing a vital role in the governance of making those fortified products, and also using the knowledge in terms of sharing, and also the co-learning process with all the communities. And this, beyond the community, there is also a kind of transfer in the agroecological region in terms of use of the model. Is really a model which is functioning in all the sub-region with the joint project, and most of the impacts really that has started in terms of the dimension and also the advantages. We think that this model can work in several countries in Africa, West, East, and also beyond in other locations. Yeah, so am I going up or down?
The other way.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, so actually, the focus of our presentation, because there are also a lot of products in terms of market access improvement. We develop a lot of products like the agglomerated products and some other food, but most actually that are having sales are the fortified products, and the micronutrients that are the source that are being used is either moringa, baobab, pumpkin, carrot, and some other ingredients. And the major cereals used are millet and sorghum in those products. And also we have cowpea as protein, major protein source, and also peanut. They are also energy source, but bring in the lipids. So they have some kind of branded product they are making in those villages, and they have been selling, and all the work is really a kind of front and back, with the back stopping from the research, the hub, and also the whole community, the scientists working and making all the co-creation, and is really, as mentioned by Bruce, something that they are ready to share and is spreading. Right now, they are having like about 70 villages in Niger, which are having this spread of the product in terms of sale, in terms of training, and also about. I think they have.
I think people from here.
Yeah, but is it what? Okay. Yeah. So you have the product, and we also have some indigenous products through the system that are innovated and coming back to market. Like if you take the case of Vivita, you have some other products in the eastern part. There is a product made by Millet, they call Tarmahaha, which usually is also fortified, and most of the time is the women. After they give birth, they just take it to have more weight and also improve the lactation. So all those products are being innovated by the use of improved varieties, because the specificity of our work is that we really use the diversity of varieties in terms of millet and sorghum, do a lot of acceptability testing, and show which varieties suited exactly the specific product, and also in terms of acceptance, even if you have like the good micronutrient or macronutrient content, sometimes the product may not be accepted. So all this work is really showing the women in those locations that the research can play a very vital role, and also this platform give them chance to express their knowledge, the local knowledge they have. And the illustration is really those product and the UNS product, and now they are coming to cities and they are being sold in the cities. Wow. The blanket. Okay. Yeah. Now. Yeah, so you can really see the dynamic is so circular. You have so many components in terms of activities, diversification of the product, so many products, the nutrition, you have the inclusion that is really obvious, and the circular dynamic, because everything is being grown at the location, and also value is added, it is going to market, and it is improving the well-being. So the graph are not all that. So you can see this is some illustration of the sales of those products, and those primary and secondary stock, and you have the villages in the x-axis. And you can see in terms of sale, how from 2020 to 2023, the dynamic and how it is moving from the different locations. And this is actually in Niger, most of the activities. And you have the eastern part, the western part, and the south western part. And you can see the sales, as mentioned by Bruce, the sales like 35 packet. So like sometimes people may just think that industrial development, agribusiness should just start with big company. You just have to have a very big company process, and then you have to make billions. But people are forgetting that all this has to have a base, and the base is really the rural location, because you have to build a way of doing the work, the improvement in terms of the varieties, like in terms of production, the increased use of improved varieties. You have to also know that there are so many details that if it is really well sustained at the basic level, then it will facilitate for a medium or big multinational companies to grow easily. But if you just target the big, like incomes, the big production, then it may just collapse because that base is not there. So we think that this is transforming, because before they were not doing these activities, and now they are doing it. They are having a lot of enthusiasm, engagement, and also devotion to get some income, which is being shared among them and also help them at the household level to sustain the household and also get more incomes. Now they are not using other imported products in those locations, and also they go and extend it to their communities. So this is really need to be strengthened, and I think is to me the best and less risky way to modernize rural communities and also come in agribusiness and all this agro park, industrial park. I think the best way is how it is happening, because we see, like if we take the example of Niger and so many other countries, how those things can just collapse. And also the incomes are shared. It's not only one person that will just come and make them to work and take all the advantage out of them. This is also sustaining and empowering and also helping them to be more sustainable. So you have some of the cells that are just illustrated in terms of sales and per location, and you can see like in terms of profit, how they estimated the profit per location. And there are so many options that you can see may vary due to some reason. So beside that, we are also doing a lot of research work. So, but we will present just some of them that we think are more linked to what we are doing with them. So we tested some sorghum formulas. This year we have some students. There are about 5 students working with me, and some of them are working on those formulation and how to test many micronutrient source and also many sorghum varieties. They can be open pollinated varieties already existing, and we're also open to use the hybrid when they are available. For because you know the ability may vary as mentioned per varieties and also per micronutrient, and then we do them. And we are also working on, I have a student working on the shelf life of those products because of the oil content. So the rancidity is very high. So we have to make sure that like the shelf life in terms of storage, stability of the product, how many months or weeks it can really sustain for. So we have some work being going on for, and also the source of the ingredients used may also either allow the product to sustain for a longer time or not. So we tested for this is some millet formulas that were co-extruded, and also we are also having the roasted product. And some of the product can be very stable for 6 months, and you can also see some change of the color, which may also affect the acceptability at some point. So those are just two formulas we had wanted to share, and we think that they are very stable for 6 months. Right now, one of the students is monitoring the water activities and also the acidity of those products, and see how we can define, and is coupled with sensory evaluation, and then we can define some specific shelf life for those products when they can really be continue to use them in terms of stability and acceptance. So we had also want to share some of the results we have in terms of acceptability in or comparing some of the work we are having, like the seed ball project. We have some collaboration, so they give us some of their varieties that were treated with seed ball and also some urine, the oga. And then we have also the conventional NPKA and also some organic manure. And we noticed that most of the products that were accepted, but this is really a preliminary result, were those who are either from seed ball or the organic manure compared to the fertilizer. I know there is a competition in terms of productivity and acceptance, but you just have to focus on the niche market, because there is always a niche market that those products can have. And also you have the health. Now people are so concerned about the health. They talk more about organic food, but here also people are very regarding the health issue. So they don't want to take much products that have too much pesticide and some other chemicals. This is just a summary slide I had wanted to share. We have right now about 10 formulas that are being used by those locations. We tested about 20 varieties of millet, and we have seen really the acceptance depending the location. And we have more than 70 villages distance from 150 to 150 kilometers, which are really buying the product. And there are a lot of health communities that are also involved, because they even direct the women to those food innovation centers. Then we have the branded product underway. And we have also noticed from our data in 2002 that most of the 45 products are having much more sales compared to the other products. So this is the co-extruded product at the phase 2 developed through the project, which are also being promoted through the hub with the urban processors. Then you have, I will go quicker. You have also the products in the cities, and most of those products are in the dynamic. And tomorrow we are going to visit this unit of Madame Liman. She was the one that gave us the testing product, and they are making a lot of use of. They are making use of a lot of improved varieties through our dynamic and diversifying the uses and contributing to the market access and nutrition in urban communities. So this is just an updated sales of their product. You can see for this year, he has like about 260,000 sales just for this year. And I would also like you to know that there are some youth entrepreneurs that are part of those units. This is for the urban side. The first presentation was rural, and then you have the youth. It is also continuing. We have a lot of youth at the hub that we are training, and some of them are here. You will see them, and some of the products. And we think is really a way to, as I said, to create those entrepreneurs for the future. So it's something that needs time, and we have to go at the lower level and go with less risk. And we think it is going to be the entrepreneur of the future. So there are some capacity building in terms of marketing, sales, and processing of the product that we had this year with those youth processors and the women. So all this is part of the dynamic at the INRAN that you are having with them. And you have one, she's here, I think, with us, youth entrepreneur that joined the dynamic in 2019. And now I think we visited her store with last December. She's going up and having a lot of really product and moving. So we have some interaction. This is the Minister of Agriculture and the president of Troisième, and also the wife. I think I showed this slide, and you have the women. So we are really present at most of the gathering and events to display the innovative product. This this is the preparation for the study. I think Bruce will talk more. Unless there's someone we get the visit of the officer, Duken Karen, when team come to Niger. So we had some gathering and also discussion with the urban processors and also the rural one in Niger. So I think there's so many to say that we can.
Thank you. And then check, one of the big things that happened this year is that we had the launch inauguration of the new sensory center at ITA. The interface with Thera, the interface with the private sector, and SMIL that together. Top rate place.
Thank you, Bruce, for the introduction. Yeah, I'm gonna go fast because I know that the time is moving and people are really trying. So first of all, as Bruce was saying, I'm gonna talk about the sensory launch, October 2022. And some product that has been made and being commercialized. And also some testing that we are making, with Israel, on getting some pipeline line for different products, and also the incubation of youth and women. All right, for the sensory lab, it was on October 2022, and Tim was there, and Bruce, and we really thank SMIL, for funding this sensory lab. It is very interesting, very important. And even actually, this sensory lab now is part of the quality control of ITA, which is very interesting because actually, we're gonna, be doing some analysis everywhere, from Africa, in Senegal and also in Africa. And also, another thing is it's not open yet for the enterprises because we are setting the recruiting technician and stuff. So, and maybe in 2 months, 3 months, we will start, getting the protocols and making sure that, the enterprises, will be involved and making the products testing there. But from now, it's just the project that we're working, like SMIL and PIL and CWA extraction. And just to let you know that this was a big problem actually, which is the arrow, which is a very well placed products, for example, in Senegal, in overseas. But the main problem was the cooking time, because it takes longer, and we did some tests, on getting some hydrochlorics, and it probably give very good results. Even the sensor you see, we test with the traditional one, and even people appreciate more, some of the formula compared to the traditional one, which is very good. And actually, even there is one enterprise that has been incubated for that. Just to let you know, for some achievement also that we have made so far is, we extend some formulas, ready to go for some big enterprises like New York Service, Marriott, and also for some youth enterprises. You'll see some products that we have made, and also we continue working on the bread making. For example, Nani just introduced yesterday about, the president of Senegal is going to allow 20%, at least 20% of our local cereal to be incorporated in bread making. And actually, with the tannin, with the sorghum without tannin, we are at 30%. And now we're continue working, actually we are 60%, sorry, of incorporation with some hydrocolloids, which is very interesting. And also, I finalized, this economic couscous because it is a very big problem. For example, for the enterprises that has the huge production, because the way that we make couscous takes time. For example, you have to go through the flours and roll it, and to make like 1 ton is a very big problem. But now we have changed the process by avoiding, the flour and getting through the similar. And now the enterprises could make tons. But the main problem was the fermentation, because there are some part, the product is work well, but there are some other part that we need to ferment it. And we go through this one and yeah, this is just some example, sorry, for this fast cooking arrow I showed you. And there is enterprises that is involved and he's gonna make the product ready. He has his packaging ready to go. And another thing I wanted to say is also the varieties have been developed, you know, because I'll come back with the fermented. These are the varieties have developed with Israel. And yesterday also from Nani presentation, you see that the salam is behaving very well in the production, but also nutritionally it has very potential because it has high content of iron, and also, you know, the protein and the minerals are very, magnesium are very important. So, and this the fermentation process actually, we start, you know, getting some strength separation from our couscous, you know, fermented couscous in different market. And I did not show the results, but this is the recent, you know, study that we've done with eSport. This Mario helped us, you know, to put us in touch with this institute. And actually, we were able to directly ferment the economic couscous. And this is very good because actually we have tested some 3 very promising strains that they propose us. And actually we're trying to separate our own one and test it and use some sensory and some characterization that we're doing there in this spot in order really now to start, you know, producing, because we don't want the enterprises to give them the technology without having the strength. So, and we're working on both, and hopefully we'll get this soon. Because now we are in the last cycle.
Okay, yeah. Now it's working.
Yeah, and these are some enterprises that we have, you know, incubated so far in the rural area. And you see, these are the formulas that we have made so far. And these formulas, we don't make them just to make, but we try even to fit the FAO and the World Health Organization, because they have some standards that we're trying to respect to fit or to meet, you know, through the formulation. And actually, they are trying to boost the market. And this is very interesting because now we're working with African Development Bank through a project that is really for youth and women. And actually what we did, we just trained the student, the youth and the women, we trained them in ITA and make sure that the product meets the standards, and then let them test the market with the packaging, with everything. And then when we know that this is very working well, so now the African Development Bank will help them to put them in touch with some banks so that they could have funding to buy, to get the equipment for themselves in order to produce, you know, their own products. And also, this is also some others that we have extended. For example, in chess, there's also big enterprises. It's youth, but they are producing a lot and they are putting a lot of things in the market. And just to give you an example, for example, when we do a training in this partnership with African Development Bank, we give, for example, here, if you could maybe
Here,
want to show you.
it won't work there.
Yeah, here.
Where do you want to go?
Just for the video, I just want to.
Oh, there's a
Yeah,
video?
here. Just click on this.
Okay.
I just want to show you. You see, after we do the training, there is a kind of, you know, gathering with African Development Bank. They came, they discuss with the youth and women and ask them what the training was look like, and they give everything, you know, and then here we explain them what is the next steps. For example, they have been trained. Now they need to be incubated, and what are the different stages that have to go through in order to get the funding. Yeah, and just to be quick, these are, some technologies that we have already developed so far, which is the instant arrow, we have already stabilized it, with the collaboration of Pretoria and Purdue University on getting, some key attributes in order to make sure that the product, meet some standards. And also, actually, even we are in phase 3, because we have an enterprise that is ready and have funding, have everything to put the product in the market. The past also is something that we're using, working. But actually, there's a lot of demand from the food industry on the pasta. And actually, with the agro-cluster project, we are trying to push, this kind of product in order really to, to be ready for. And now we are in phase 1 and 2, and hopefully we will move fast, because the agriculture, even the project is not finished, even we don't finish with the project, the agriculture will take it over, to continue. And also the instant couscous, as he said, is also something that is interesting, because Niger has already developed and tested. So we're going to take it and see Senegal, how this product will be behaving, essentially. And if it's because there's a lot of enterprises also, they saw the publication and they're asking me, here is the couscous. I said, yes, it's developed by Niger. And actually, we're trying to see with Mustafa how we could exchange and make it happen. And as you know, there's a lot of extruded formulas that we have made so far, in order to make sure that they meet the demand. There are a lot of enterprises, that have been involved, and also the fermented, economic couscous. And just for the 23, what we have planned so far is really to see how the grain that has been developed by Elizabeth and also the millet program, to see how these varieties, behave in grain quality, and also to see on the sensory aspect how people react, on this different grain. And also we will test, some processing parameters, so that we could later, train, the processors on these parameters, and also doing a lot of characterization, because we have some new varieties that we have to test also. And also, even for the promotion, we work on that, because as I said, people, they are not really familiar with sorghum, and if we have some improved varieties, we should really talk with them and promote these varieties, because they are very important. And also for the instant couscous also, we would like to work with Niger to establish that in Senegal. Just to finalize on the strategies that we have on mind, without SMIL or with SMIL continue, we will do it. Because actually there's a lot of programs, that we hope that they might be interesting. The first thing is to see how we could scale, finalizing and scaling the pasta, because we know that Senegal, people eat a lot of pasta, but it's made from wheat. So what we would like is from sorghum and millet, to start producing this one and put in the market. The second strategic orientation is, for example, the varieties that Israel has developed. Now we would like to test them, and after testing, we would like to put, processors or industry in the line, so that they will have, line for flowers, line for whatever, they just adapt very quickly, this plan. And another thing is scale the fermentation that we have done, fermentation of economic couscous, and also the instant arrow that are already, finished, and because they are all in the phase 3, and try to push them in the phase 4. And also the last thing, the one also is to work on the cereal breakfast, because actually with the agriculture project we have ordered the twins screw extruder. So, and hopefully with this twin screw extruder, we could really do some lot of product development, especially on the cereal breakfast, and also work on scaling the incorporation of this grain, because actually really we are in 6% incorporation, especially for sorghum without tannin, which is very behaving, on bread making, and continue working on scaling, the instant flour, because many youth are interested even to get the extruder. And even with Bruce, we're working on the MOU with Technochem in order to see how we could now connect with Technochem in order to get the extruder in Senegal, because a lot of young people now are interested. And also to empower women and youth, continue using the African Development Bank, because actually the African Development Bank is looking for a model. So, and we hope that this model, this connection that we have might be interesting at some point for African development really to take it over and to really work on helping the youth and women, because they really need the training, they really need financial. And the last thing is disseminate technology, in IT's incubation center, because actually we have an incubation center, built by African Development Bank, and it is like 1 billion. They put 1 billion, and also there will be some key equipments, for 3 different lines. We will have one line for cereals or flowering, and one line for weight, and so there are 3 lines, so that they can financial for equipment. And also for the agriculture, we'll have ITA now, we'll have in each region a center. And I think this is very important, but this is going to help now the product that we have developed so far, how you could push them in the other region for a large scale. So on that, I turn over the microphone to Bruce. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shaq. I have just 2 minutes, and then we'll go to questions. I meant, could you go to actually skip to the one after this? Yeah, so we have this study that is going to be done in the coming 3 months. And it was put together with the help of Mario and a nutritional epidemiologist, Reagan Bailey, who was at Purdue at that time, part of the FBIL. And it involves 3,600 participants. It's testing the question, now that these fortified products have been in these rural markets and consumed by children, could we see a difference in diet quality? So this is a mostly nutritional assessment questionnaire. So what people eat, right? And it's geared again towards children under 5, but the parents or guardians are the ones who are filling out the questionnaires. The design is, it's in 4 locations. In each location, there'll be 200 consumers of these food-to-food fortified products in villages with those, processing associations, innovation centers, who consume them, consumers who have consumed those products, children, and 200 that didn't consume them, and then compared to a control community where there's no access to those products and is far away from the activity, right? And then go ahead to the other slide. And the second aspect of this is, remember I talked about that this has a natural expansion, these marketing, these processing and marketing of these fortified products. So looking geographically going out from these primary processing sites into secondary and tertiary areas, are we getting impact, and what kind of impact perhaps are we getting with in terms of, again, of diet quality, which relates to nutritional impact? So we may, we may not see it, but there's 2 things. We have the product that's gone out at 15 to 20 tons. We don't know if that's enough, right? We have no idea, but it seems significant, but also just the activity is there, right? So we're gonna test this. We'll also do some modeling and to understand at what levels do we see certain kinds of impact in those communities. All right, thank you very much. We're ready for questions. I think time flies, but Mustafa and Shaq. And did you want to, I think we will have one processor from the rural area, one from the urban area to answer any questions. And Yagana, who's the nutritionist on loan from the Ministry of Health to the incubation center. Late in the day. Yeah.
Donc, je vais commencer. Je suis très intéressé avec la consommation des farines fortifiées. Et je voulais savoir, est-ce que vous voyez qu'il y a un enfant qui consomme des paquets pour combien de temps? C'est-à-dire, est-ce qu'il fait un repas par jour, 2 repas par jour, 1 repas par semaine? Quelle est la périodicité de consommation de ces paquets de farine fortifiée?
On connaît la réponse, mais j'ai voulu que les femmes me disent ça. Cela.
Au sujet de consommation, en réalité, les femmes, elles fortifient, c'est vrai, les farines de 500 grammes. Donc, l'enfant doit consommer au moins des portions, parce qu'on ne peut pas consommer tous les 500 grammes en une journée. Deux fois, nous, c'est qu'on conseille que ça soit réparti. Le matin, l'enfant prend à midi et le soir. Donc, vraiment, c'est de prendre ça 3 fois par jour. C'est ça, les 500 grammes. C'est ça. Donc, ça peut durer, c'est vrai, 3 jours, chez d'autres, tout dépend de la quantité que l'enfant peut consommer. En réalité, c'est ça.
Sorry, I'm not sure what Tim asked, but it might have been the second question. When you biofortify these products, I saw that you're using baobab and carrot, groundnut, I think, and cowpea maybe. Do you use local sources of the bioforticants as well? So for example, are there locally sourced carrots and baobab and things that are used as to biofortify these products?
Yeah, these are locally sourced, but these are the nutrient rich materials.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yes, they are all plant source, rich micronutrient, plant source material. Like if you take the moringa, it contains a lot of iron, zinc, and also vitamin A. You have baobab, very rich in zinc and iron. It also has some antioxidant. And then you have carrot, very rich in vitamin A. And pumpkin also is the vitamin A source. And there are also some other source that we are screening. So they are all natural and locally available. And some of them are even be gathered by them.
Hear from Bettina.
Oui, merci pour ce travail vraiment très fascinant. Une question est, qu'est-ce que vous faites en termes de mycotoxines, aflatoxines, la contamination de ces produits-là, est-ce que c'est pris en compte et si oui, comment? Et dans les activités, surtout au Sénégal, il me manquait un peu aussi l'étiquetage de ces produits. Ce que j'ai vu au dehors, c'était déjà très bien. Mais par exemple, j'ai voulu savoir qu'est-ce qu'il y a exactement là-dedans, dans 100 grammes de ce produit, combien de sucre, combien de miel, combien, et ça me manquait là-bas. Donc, je pense qu'il faut ajouter dans les activités encore quelque chose, améliorer encore l'étiquetage pour, par exemple, aussi maintenir les allergènes qui peuvent être là-dedans, des choses comme ça.
Thanks, Bettina. If I understood the last question correctly, the great thing I think that SMIL and also FPIL interfaces on is putting science behind, these fortificants, what are the levels, are they available? And then making formulations and even a manufacturing dossier that puts specifications on how, the products are made. That said, there's some variation in amounts, right, in raw materials. So we look at it more in terms of increasing diet diversity and, improving micronutrient content, protein content, but recognizing there's some variability. I don't know if that hit that, but the mycotoxins and
Okay, thank you so much, Bettina, for the question. For the mycotoxin, right now we are working on it. The aflatoxin, there is a student that is monitoring, collecting the sample from the site, and we will have some result. And also at the level of the farmers, the partners, like the women, they are also screening the pea, because the major source of that is the peanut. So they have some local like screening just to remove, and we think that it is been taken into account. And also we give a lot of training in food safety to couple it, because all, as mentioned, are going for the children. Thank you.
Pour les examens dont elle parlait, c'est vrai un défi, on amène au niveau de l'aspect qu'après la production, l'idéal c'est d'amener au niveau de laboratoire d'analyse. Mais comme les laboratoires ne sont pas décentralisés de fois jusqu'au niveau village, nous on les conseille de faire le prélèvement et d'envoyer par les bus pour faire les analyses au niveau du laboratoire. Peut-être au niveau du laboratoire aussi, ce n'est pas tous les examens qu'ils arrivent à faire, mais au moins microbio font ça.
Si juste par exemple la quantité de sucre qui a été mis dans le
Voilà, merci pour la question, hein. Donc c'est extrêmement intéressant. Bon, ça quand même, c'est pourquoi on prend la peine, hein. Si vous voyez combien les recommandations de OMS et de FAO, c'est pour s'assurer que les produits qu'ils vont mettre dans le marché sont des produits normés. Et l'autre chose aussi, c'est que nous avons un laboratoire, donc d'aflatoxine. Et chaque fois, donc on a mené une grande étude avec FPL. With the FPL project, we made a very huge study. And each single product that we have put in the market has been tested on aflatoxin to see whether it respects the level before we put in the market. This is something that we really care about. And another thing also is, for the packaging, that's why even when we incubate the enterprises, we go over with them, even the packaging. We tell them which packaging, and even the storage, we do it. And I think that this sensory lab will play an important role. Why? Because, the shelf life product that we have made so far is between the microbiology and the chemical. Now with the sensory, we will go now to see really if, for example, if the product is staying 6 months in the shelf, what are the quality attributes that are going to be changing, so that we could adjust, on the period, saying that the product would last 6 months, but we prefer that it's easy to be consumed before this day. I think this is something very important that the Central Lab will bring, in this whole process. Thank you.
Si j'ai bien compris les données présentées par Moustapha, au niveau des marchés dans le village, les quantités vendues ne voient pas une croissance depuis 2 ans. Et le profit, le rente, même a été réduit entre 21 et 22. Quelles sont les contraintes? Pourquoi est-ce qu'on ne voit pas une croissance continuelle? Est-ce que c'est un problème de marketing ou quoi? Et qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire pour avoir une vraie croissance dans le marché?
Merci beaucoup, Peter. Je vais peut-être permettre aux femmes de répondre à la question. Bon, on a un peu compris, mais vous avez entendu la question de Peter, c'est-à-dire les données qu'on a collectées. Il dit que entre 2020 et 2022, il a remarqué qu'il n'y a pas une croissance, c'est-à-dire une pente ascendante au niveau de la vente. Et qu'est-ce qui peut expliquer ça? Si vous avez quelque chose à dire. Ah, ok, il faut vous présenter avant de répondre. Le nom et présenter.
D'accord. Je m'appelle Radio Alfari. Je viens de l'Union Matabane de Faloy. Oui. Dans la région de Boussou. En ce qui concerne l'évolution de la vente, bon, les produits qu'on est en train de produire, on n'a pas de grandes quantités. On ne produit pas de grandes quantités. Toujours des quantités, on produit des quantités restreintes, de telle sorte que ce qu'on a vendu, c'est avec ça aussi qu'on va, dans ça, qu'on va approvisionner l'année prochaine. La deuxième des choses, ce matin, dans l'exercice, puisque c'est un peu un exercice, l'exercice qu'on avait traité ce matin, l'exercice a fait sortir que il n'y a pas de sensibilisation. C'est insuffisance de sensibilisation, de telle sorte que nos produits, et il n'y a pas de sensibilisation puisque tout le monde ne connaît pas le produit. La deuxième des choses, même on a fait la production, on a fait ressortir ça aussi. Il y a la pauvreté qui empêche les ménages de bénéficier de ce produit-là. Même s'il veut le produit, si la personne n'a pas d'argent, elle ne peut pas acheter. Et la troisième des choses, le produit qu'on est en train de... Je m'appelle Kouré Boukali, je suis transformatrice Union Alimentaire Moribel. Donc, le problème de l'évolution, par exemple, chez nous, c'est dû à la multiplication des centres. Donc, il y a plusieurs, en dehors de nos centres, il y a des autres centres, il y a des centres, beaucoup de centres de transformation qui font les mêmes produits que nous. Donc, on est là, il y a les autres qui sont là. Donc, vraiment, moi, chez nous, je peux dire ça, ça peut empêcher d'avoir un gros volume, puisqu'on n'est pas les seuls à faire la transformation des produits agroalimentaires, c'est tout pour la malnutrition.
Deci também dans Pas que là-bas.
Et aussi, il y a aussi un point aussi qui affecte peut-être l'évolution. Il y a surtout l'insécurité, où il y a des partenaires qui font des commandes ailleurs pour ravitailler le milieu rural. Donc ça là aussi, ça peut être, oui, donc voilà, ils importent des produits ailleurs pour faire des distributions. Là aussi, ça peut
Okay, I think we'll finish up with Mario. Sorry, would you like to say anything here at the end?
No, I'm fine. I've been listening in, so it sounds like great conversation. Wish I was there, but I'll be visiting soon. So
You start again.
Can you say that again, Mario?
oh, I said, no, I don't have anything to add. It sounds like you've had a great conversation and I know it's the end of your day. So wish I was there. I'll be visiting soon and getting some work on. Hey, Shek. Hey, Yagana. Hey, Mustafa.
Okay. Mario, we really couldn't hear.
Mario, we wish you were here too. There's
I got
nothing
caught
to-
in my own camel traffic jam group.
I think it would be nice if any of the women on this side wanted to respond and it can be translated into French, even in Hausa, Guermanche. Oui.
Jama'a assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Gaskiya ba ita nake ba kullum a Hausa ne zancen transformation da sunan maradi. Mun transformation da aka koya mu alhamdulillah. Kayan da muke sarrafa alhamdulillah muna sarrafa haci muna sarrafa aya da gushiya da su wake da sauran shi. Alhamdulillah mu dai mun ci riba kuma mun ga unwanin abu. Tunda musamman ma wannan gari ma na yare da muke mun samu dama ga likita. Alhamdulillah mu yanzu kokowa muke da kwamusu mu ma kusa mun kashe kwamusu. Tunda likita sun dafa mu yaran da muka ma maganin kwamusu yanzu haka suna da dama. Wannan gari na yara ba su ba yaran. Mai ya ma uwayen yara gaskiya suna amfani da wannan gari da kwamusu. Mu alhamdulillah mun ci riba kuma mun ga amfanin abu. Alhamdulillah.
The Hajara Umaru from Maradi Sabwa. She said that she's just thanking God and also what he's doing because the products like the fortified flour is really saving them from the malnutrition and also they are getting a lot of profit. And even not even the children, even their the adult like the parents are benefiting from it. And they are also processing a lot of grain beside sorghum and millet. Peanuts, cowpea, and tiger nut. And the activities is really helping them to get a lot of profit.
So you can translate her donc. Ce qui était très intéressant est que le site Savoie ont des revenus qui étaient beaucoup plus élevés que les autres. Donc, je voudrais savoir qu'est-ce qu'elle fait, qu'est-ce qu'elle peut importer et enseigner aux autres structures pour arriver à le même niveau de vente.
Hajara, directeur na programme yana abun ya ce ya gani sanda an yi resulta an gara kama sai sabuwa ko centre na Niger kwa duka kiniki kwa na sai da garin to ya ce ya ne kama secret din mine ne kuna nan ga yi da kuna nan samu kasuwa haka mutane suna sai kuma yana so ki koya ma mata na center sauran center abun ga kaman su ji ya ne za ku yi dubarunka ki
Alhamdulillah yadda muke yi muna samun wannan riba yanzu dai ni ina matsalar likita in muka tai kuma mun samu tallafi ga wata kuroshe
tana kawo kayan abinci muna ma yara kunu da lulaye nan ne muka samu tallafi sai mu zo da kwatar yake cewa a yo garin a kawo muna waye ma mata kai kusa ga wannan gari yanzu wasu mun hankuma ɗaya uku mai yadda ɗaya biyu alhamdulillah yana sa ina kawo gari mata suna sai ma yaran su kuma macen ma in kina bi ki ga kamar ki unwani da garin kina sayan garin ki kina kada kina sha alhamdulillah ta wannan hanya muka samu kuma da kasuwa kuma misali mara gasu ce ne in suna kuma meri suna taro suna sa muna yi musu dage muna kai musu in suna taro alhamdulillah mun samu ci gaba kuma muna yi muna kai kasuwa gare mu nan gari banda ta gari har kawai ya muna da muna kaiwa kuma likita na washin shan muna yin kuma garin mu muna aika musu kuma suna sai mu can suna waye mu mata kai masu koyayyen muna aika musu suna sai da mu kace ta hanyoyin nan cikin kwamin mu yanzu da muke so muna ƙara son a ƙara kama mu Allah ya kama mu ba cikin sa sabuwa ba har wani wuri ma kawai da ake kawo su maka ga ta nan muna gani ana sai da mu ma har ƙasar waje garin mu ya ci gaba ya tahi daga ɗaya har shi koki.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So it's a lot, I hope I will not forget some. So she's just saying that the first things is really they are getting like some support, like she's a kind of affiliated to the health centers. She gave some training and also like advice for the women that have malnourished children. And through that, she gets some support and also backstopping from the health centers. And then they get to know their product and they ask them to bring the product, and the women from the centers test the product and they see the outcome, and then they just keep on directing other women to come and buy it. And beside that, they also sell their product in the market. They go, they sell in the like the weekly market, and people are knowing the product. And beside that, the third thing, they have like the local mayor. She's from Sai-Sabwa, and the mayor is here with us. And the local authority is also supporting them and also directing them and giving them like market. If they have some launch meeting for day and all this, then they get to know them in their own communities. And her hope is really to continue to spread what they are doing, and they want to go beyond their location inside Sabwa so that other women also get it, and even beyond those. Okay. Hajara, director ce fatan shi kuwa kama center na sauran center, fatan shi su zama kama center na sai sabuwa yadda kuna nan ga abun ga samu alheri.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dice Hajiya Halima Sharkin Hausa, masu gari na yara, dage, kuskus, dakuwa, mu ne masu aiki. To mu dai garin nan gaskiya mun ga yana da ci gaba kwarai ma ko mun ga yana da ci gaba tunda dai mun samu madafa, mun samu makama. Tunda likitoci akwai wani likita na sarkin Arewa. Ni dai ina da sahi gari dai ya sai na ka ɗari. Kenan ai sun ga ko yana ci gaba yana da amfani. Kuma kamar yaro aka sayan mishi kilo. Kenan cikin kwana 5 ana mishi so biyu. To gaskiya yaron na alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah gaskiya mu wannan gari ya bunƙasa gare mu. Ya ci gaba. Allah sa albarka. Mun gode. Ko ba gaskiya ba tunda dai mu da yanzu garin nan. Gaskiya mu yanzu nan kullum mu ma shirki ana zuwa ana sai. Tunda mu mun samu masai. Dan likitocin nan namu alhamdulillah kawai nan namu alhamdulillah gaskiya mu wannan gari ya ci gaba tunda dai ana ta godiya. Gaskiya tunda har mai tagwaye mace matsayin baki da ruwan nono. To wannan gari in dai kauki yi kunu da shi sham Allahu kau za ki ga nono ya kawo. Kenan ai yaro ya samu wadata. Bakin da ya wata 6 an kawo mai wannan kunu taki. An kawo mishi wannan na gari alhamdulillah gaskiya aiki ya ci gaba. Mun gode Allah sa albarka magabatan ga muna muku godiya da manoma. Mun gode gaskiya da sa albarka.
So she's Hajara. also from Saki Hausa. And she's just saying that they are very, very thankful to the project and also to the flour, the fortified flour, because they are selling it and they have a lot of like the health centers. She mentioned one of the location that even brought children and they are taking out them from the malnutrition. And she sold for one of the health centers, like the head coming to buy for 100,000 francs. They just keep on coming and buying, keep on coming. And she said that if there is no like profit, they will not. And then they are also helping even like some malnourished twins that are all malnourished, and they come and give it. And usually they just give the flour like twice per day for the child. And for the 5 days, they will start to see. And most of the children are like under six months, and they are all out of the money. They are selling and they are getting a lot of profit, and they are really thanking to God and to the community, also the group of the project that showed them this product.
Papa, sauran ƙungiyoyin wannan na ƙauyen nan suna so mu je muna koya musu wannan gari na yara da dage. To daga kayan aiki ne namu ne muke ɗauka mu kai mu koya musu da shi. Da haccin su koko da namu muna koya musu da inda ma aka hausantar na farko mun koya ma dage da abin da kuskure. Santar wanda aka fama da wani an koya musu ba su iya ba mun muka je muka koya ga iya. Na so yanzu madama mu samu mana cewa na ƙauyen mana musu san da hangar na caɗuwa yana so mu kan koya ma matan sai yanzu ai ko koya su gani yana so mu koya ma matan Allah ba mu da.
She's just adding that like for the sharing of the knowledge, there are many village women groups that are coming to them to get this training, and they go to train them, and sometimes they bring their own grain to them. They do the training and show the product, and sometimes they brought their own accessories and also go. So they are now wanting to get like much more backstopping with more accessories, resources, so that they can continue to expand it to those women. And there is even one mayor that is around their village that also came, and he said that he wants them to go to her location to train their women. And even when she said that we went, he came, and he even keep on calling us that he wants us to make them to come and also have like the backstopping together.
I know if I can come, you know, for work. It's Palawan. You know, back to that. So, kami zo wano hamo asma yo bisala. Kami za albarkanta, kami bogite kami zankina pa. Ilite, ibogante tubarkala. Idi zanki hinkufo kami nyo hai tawayenu. Yung sino, ibig niya kami albarkanta no di ite. Uno wala kang ugar guys. Uno ibogza kay hanen dida. Igite ipopozi kay se po kanso igan no se no impu. Kuna zanka di ko para igin kyan zanka. Tugar kala. May kung ba dia kuna may kung digis.
Okay, so her name is Fati. She's from Kabwe, village is 4 kilometers around Falwell, the Falwell location in Doso. So she said that they are very, very thankful, and she wants to talk about the fortified flour because that's what they are making, and they are seeing the changes it is making on the children. So she just wanted to give an example of one mother that have twins, and she passed away. And the two twins, they just direct them. They took the twins and they feed them with that flour. And now if we see those twins, we cannot, they are very, very healthy, and they are really thankful for that.
Akwai tilawa zai, akwai wani mushana ya mai. Kenan da ya tara muna nan gari, ya ga garin nan ya bar gashi. Sai ya ce an aiko mishi shi. To na aiko mishi wannan gari, yanzu yana ma ɗan shi kuma alhamdulillah sai wani akwai wani abokin shi na mata mai shi ɗan mutabara. Ya ce shi ma na so wannan gari mata masu wannan gari yana son ya ɗauke shi su koya mata na. Kenan yanzu dama ne a fasa mu. Musha yana nan cikin nan ne.
What she said is, she gave the example of somebody here in Niamey who bought from her, used it and was happy, and his friend saw it. And his friend is in Matamei. He asked that they move to Matamei to teach the women in Matamei. So they're asking for support to be able to move to Matamei for.
Assalamu alaikum jama'a. Amurorin kai da hamdan barkanta. Ai wai kai ne abuwa da kai izorin da diki kuna yi kan hanyar da gamu ba da suka ba. A taro si ba kala. Don kano da zungore mun ta zungore tera zungore.
Okay, Ramat. So her name is Ramat Gibe. She's from Tera in the western part near Burkina. So she said that she has a child that was 7 months and entered into malnutrition. And they started to feed the child with that formulas, and now the child is completely out of the malnutrition and is very healthy. And he's an Ola. Okay. Oh, okay. Is the son of her sister that passed away, and she's the one that took the child. And he has 7 months. So how can you say it? Oh, okay. So okay. He is not 3 years old, and he took him when he was just 7 months.
Yeah. I just want to add something on that. Night, I think you remember the woman that you visited together with Faith. Yeah, actually, really, I wanted to bring some of them, but actually, she has a big market actually in outside of Senegal, because the product that you saw and the product respect the standards. Now they would like for her to have a certificate in order to export, and ITA used to do that. So, and actually we're trying to help her to get a certificate in order really to, because the project that I don't mention it, the project helped her to have the code bar, which is very important. Now she has the code bar and the product is ready to go, and now she's having a huge comment from Kubro. So I will let you know the outcome. Thank you.
I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for the women who came. Our fantastic partners from the project. And thank you, Mustafa, Sheikh, Yagana. We appreciate it.
D'accord, merci beaucoup. Want to make a question?
Comment ça se passe? Ces journées-là, comment ça se passe? Former des femmes dans d'autres villages. Et comment ça se fait? Comment vous gérez tout ça en termes de présidentiel? C'est une formation exactement.
À ce qui concerne les prises en charge, nous, le centre de follow, on a l'habitude de former beaucoup de jeunes, mais c'est à travers des projets. C'est les projets qui font leur financement. Mais si c'est les centres de la commune, on n'a pas de prise en charge. Ouais, c'est nous-mêmes qui déplacent pour aller dans le village, former les jeunes ou bien les femmes. On n'a pas de prise en charge. On le fait gratuitement. En tout cas, pour notre communauté.
Bon, ok, ben, tonton. En français. Ce que j'ai voulu augmenter pour les produits, par exemple, nos zones, quand nous sommes dit qu'on a une fédération, on a une union, donc on a le monde. Maintenant, pour faire la farine, comment faire? On a commencé avec le peu de connaissances qu'on a, mais on a eu des difficultés pour commencer parce qu'on n'a pas les normes. Notre sens a fait que la santé est là avec la forme de la rouge. Il y a un. Vous m'excusez, hein? Excusez-moi, il y a un. J'ai oublié. Donc, on a rencontré la Ghana et elle nous a donné le système à suivre. Directement, l'agent de santé de Terra, on l'a rencontré. Malgré qu'il connaît elle, elle est venue auprès de nous et on a fait la transformation avec l'assainissement, les beaucoup d'oreilles, on a la tout. On a fait ça, on a commencé à vendre. Ça a bien donné. Maintenant, pour écouler, nous sommes dit, comment faire? Créer des points de vente. On a créé des points de vente dans la ville de Terra. Les différents boutiquiers qui ont le nom là, on a amené là-bas. Ça a bien donné, ça donne très bien. Maintenant, on veut coller encore. On dit, dans les différents centres, c'est qui sont au fond là, on a calculé tout. On a dit, venez voir notre pays, ce qu'on fait. Ils sont venus, ils ont aimé, ils ont apprécié. On a dit, donc, chaque centre, nous, on va les ravitailler. On a commencé le ravitaillement, c'est là-bas où le problème commence. Insécurité. Tous les centres, les agences de santé là, sont venus à terre. Tous, il y en a personne. C'est eux aussi qui sont en train de vendre pour nous. Vous voyez, c'est quoi? Donc, la vente, ça va baisser. Ça va baisser. Et qu'il y a beaucoup qui nous demandent, mais à Comabam, on a un gros, sur le site web, on a des bons marchés. Personne n'a osé là-bas. C'est pas bon. Vous voyez? Et qu'on est revenu maintenant. Tous les villes là, on a fait formation. Maintenant, il y a autre formation. Beaucoup de femmes, si tu as besoin pour ta enfant là, la là, le lait là, toi-même tu fais. Tu donnes, et l'enfant est guéri. Vous voyez, ça c'est très bien. Et c'est parti comme ça. Vous voyez? Donc voilà ce que j'ai voulu augmenter. Mais quand même au niveau de la commune, chaque fois qu'ils font des réunions, il faut référence à l'unité pour faire les dégâts. Vous voyez? Et on laisse en boire ça. Parce qu'ils disent maintenant, on va laisser les autres produits là et consommer ce que nous produisons. Voilà, petit à petit. Et même les sessions, nous sommes en train de négocier pour qu'à chaque session, on nous invite pour que nous amenions les farines, les différentes farines là, en base de moringa, en base de courge, en base de carottes, tout ça, on va les amener là-bas pour faire l'exposition et ils vont connaître. Il y a même des gens qui sont venus faire le grand marché de Terra, de Niamey et du Nigeria, qui ont vu ça et qui ont dit, après le temps, ils vont essayer de chercher qu'on va faire commerce entre nous, on va faire beaucoup et on va leur vendre. Voilà ce que j'ai voulu augmenter et je vous remercie.
Moi aussi, je vais un peu dans ce que Haïda vient de dire. Et pour la commune, c'est à savoir. Donc, nous avons 5 marchés hebdomadaires
Donc, dans chaque marché, on a un stand. Partout, il y a 5 marchés. Donc, les jours du marché, elles partent là-bas pour faire leur exposition. Et à part ça, il y a toujours des extensions à la mairie. Toujours, on les montre aux acquéreurs. Oui.
Ok, merci beaucoup. Juste, c'est une contribution aussi par rapport à cette farine. C'est pour dire que les autorités sont très intéressées par. Et également, moi, je pense que sous contrôle du docteur Moustapha, concernant les données, ce sont des données peut-être de deuxième début. Il y a beaucoup de femmes qui ont été formées par les centres incubateurs qui sont en train de voler seules et qui ont de grosses commandes. Actuellement, il y a des femmes qui sont individuelles, qui sont sorties des centres d'incubation, que nous avons leurs contacts et leurs données, qu'elles ont des commandes. Il y a une qui avait une commande de 25 tonnes. Récemment, il y a une qui a une commande avec crise alimentaire 68 tonnes. Et actuellement, il y a une autre aussi qui a une commande 148 tonnes. Donc, toutes ces femmes-là sont sorties des centres incubateurs de l'INRAM et des autres centres incubateurs qui se trouvent dans les zones rurales. C'est cette information que je voulais ajouter. La deuxième information, c'est par rapport à la farine infantile. Les autorités donc, ont essayé de contacter les différents ministères concernés pour élaborer une norme par rapport à la farine parce qu'elle devient de plus en plus intéressante au niveau de la population. Et cette norme est en cours d'élaboration pour standardiser donc la farine infantile. C'est vraiment ça que je voulais compléter. Merci. Bon, je suis un produit du projet, mais actuellement, je suis aussi dans la normalisation. Merci. Je m'appelle Oumarou Bakar Ali.
Donc, quant à moi, c'est M. Tandé Akouma. Je suis conseiller au niveau du niveau mondial. Donc, je travaille en collaboration avec la radio. Donc, pour ce qui est vraiment du centre d'information de Folwell, moi, je pense que rien que les formations, on a formé 475 jeunes. Et parmi eux, il y a ceux qui sont devenus formateurs au niveau des CIPA, de la région de Toussou. Et dans notre commune, il y a à travers le projet Crédit, donc nous avons pris 35 jeunes en stage au niveau de notre centre d'information qui sont là en train de faire d'autres jeunes dans les villages. Ils ont des relais au niveau des villages qui sont en train de former. Et les projets qui interviennent de la zone de Dosso, ils nous sollicitent souvent, ils nous donnent des prestations pour aller former d'autres communes. Je pense qu'il y a formé 3 communes de la zone de Dosso, en tout cas vraiment des femmes et transformatrices de pain enrichi et délégués. Dans la commune de Tirka, il y a voilà, plus qu'elle dit comme donc vraiment, ils ont formé les femmes, en tout cas au niveau de ces communes. Maintenant, ceux que la pain enrichi, on a l'habitude de prendre la pain, aller au CSU de Follow, faire une démonstration aux femmes à l'état. Après la démonstration, on a commencé à distribuer ça pour que les gens vont essayer de venir assister. Et ça a commencé en Follow et on a essayé de faire un tour tous les CSI de la commune. Maintenant, le conseil passé, et j'ai soulevé le problème au niveau du conseil. Le conseil communal. À travers le conseil communal, j'ai dit aux élus locaux, vraiment, moi, je pense que nous devrons valoriser ce qu'on est en train de faire dans notre commune. Parce que rien que le dégué et le couscous, en tout cas, on peut commencer à consommer la locale. Et les vannes enrichies, on peut l'utiliser, en tout cas, pour lutter contre la malnutrition. Et avec 3 vannes, on a commencé à échanger, à discuter, en tout cas, dans ce sens-là, pour lutter, pour avoir des vannes enrichies, pour lutter contre la malnutrition, en tout cas, de nos zones d'intervention. Merci.
Okay, yeah, I just want to confirm from what you say, the guy Ali, I think it's very important. Actually, even in Senegal, actually, the instant flour is being normalized, standardized. And I think from now to 3 months later, we'll have the standards come out. And this is very important because what? Because, you know, we have the sub-Saharan region that is the potential market. Because actually we have trained 2 enterprises in Dakar, Madam Dem and Maria Production. Actually, you know, in Mauritania, they have a big market because, you know, the population, they use it, you know, is porridge, you know, using the flour. And I think this is very important. And I'm glad that you have started to standardize them. I think it's very good. Thank you.
D'accord, on a une frère de Dosso qui va donner la dernière parole parce qu'il est venu. Il est venu de Dosso. C'est très loin. Très, très loin. Qui va donner la dernière parole? C'est la dernière parole, d'accord. Après ça, on va faire le clap. Merci. Et en fait, moi, j'aimerais intervenir par rapport à la préoccupation de Bettina sur la toxique. Donc, par rapport à cette substance qui est toxique, donc, ce que nous sommes en train de faire, c'est la sensibilisation des producteurs, productrices, transformateurs et même les commerçants qui stockent. Donc, on est en train de sensibiliser les gens tous, d'abord, et prendre conscience de cette toxique et la connaître, comment elle se transmet, et maintenant, comment tu prends depuis la production jusqu'à la récolte, le séchage, le stockage et la transformation. Comment ils vont réduire cette contamination? Parce qu'on sait qu'on n'a pas assez de laboratoire et on n'a pas assez de moyens pour effectivement l'analyse, mais on peut réduire ça. Voilà donc le travail que nous sommes en train de faire avec les. Merci. Merci, frère. C'est vraiment la dernière. Bon. Parce que, ok, d'accord. Salam alaikum, Jama. Je ne vais pas être très loin. Je vais parler par rapport à la transformatrice. Nous sommes là pour vous. Maradi, exactement ça. Les choses, ça, savoir, vous n'avez pas de problème 2000. Vous n'avez pas de problème. La réunion, là, qu'on a fait, la première réunion, je vous dis, tout celui qui a un problème de 1000 n'a qu'à nous toucher. Vous, là, nous sommes là pour vous. Je dis ça, je répète encore. Si vous avez des problèmes de 1000, je suis un producteur de semences. Je suis là avec vous. Hein? Je remercie le projet. Je remercie les partenaires d'appui et aussi les femmes là. Je vous dis, tout moment, si vous avez des questions, vous pouvez me toucher. Je suis un producteur de semences. C'est pas tous les milles qui payent l'appareil. Il y a des variétés, il y en a tous. Et il faut bien c'est pas utiliser les machines qui achètent les milles. Aller transformer. Ça, c'est pas bon, ça ne fait pas. C'est ça ma contribution. Bon, je pense qu'on va faire le clap. Mais on va faire le clap ensemble. D'accord, attends. On va faire ça 4 fois.
Okay, we've arrived at the end of our second day, a very, very full day as well. And so I'm ready to call this session to an end officially. Nat, do we have any announcements? And Mustafa, any announcements?
Yeah, a couple quick announcements. Stacy is at this table right here. For those who have not yet gotten your per diems, so you can pass by here. Be kind to Stacy and she will give you your per diems. And- Yeah, this is just for those who have traveled from outside of Niger, Senegal, from outside of Niger. So come by and pick that. Tomorrow we'll start at 9 o'clock here. There'll be 1 hour of session, and then we will go into breakout groups throughout the rest of the day. I will be in touch with the country leads for any other accounting. But as I said, if you're an individual from outside of Niger, come by and see Stacy.
Or if you had receipts earlier, we already have your reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you, Nat. It's for the dinner today, so I don't know if it's going to be like yesterday. If some people need to go, so we can just use the bus to
7:30.
at 7:30. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. La séance est levée. Merci.
That's it.